Okay, I just want to make a quick video of Columbia Games victory in Europe. Um, I'm not going to go through all the rules or anything like that. I just want to make some comments and then see what other people think out there. I've had it now for, I guess, almost 2 years. I guess it's more of a grand strategic game, block game. Um, I guess the reason why I kind of wanted it was I I'm a big fan of Avalon Hill's Third Reich, and Third Reich is a big grand strategic World War II game. Using base resource points and strategic movement and that sort of thing. And when I sort of saw this one, I thought I was going to get some similarities of that. Um, and I guess there are. There are you do have uh, resource points in here, and you have to build, forces for the Allies and the Germans and whatnot. Um, and you move things around strategically and that sort of thing. But I guess maybe what I'll do is I'll just say a couple of things that I like about it and things that maybe less like about it, and then in my quest to try to find something that's like Third Reich. So first off, I mean, great production quality. Again, really interesting map because it's this oval kind of shape. Um, I will say though that some of the spots it gets kind of crowded because they're different regions. Once you get a bunch of blocks in there, although you can only have I think three land blocks per side plus air and leaders and things like that. But it can get a little crowded. Um, I like the blocks. I also like the cards. That gives you different things for different years. So that's kind of a neat system. This was a +1 for the Germans attack for their fire, for a battle for that turn. So neat things like that. Other things, I think I do get a big sense of the grand sort of strategy of the war. That's kind of neat. Um, Things that maybe I'm still kind of struggling with. I'm not going to say I don't like them. I just I'm still struggling with the resource point system, and it has like two layers. You have these resource points. They're these triangles with a number on them, and when you occupy your own countries, you get that resource point. But then you depending on how many factories that you have, the factories have a number on the top left there as well. So whatever the lower number is, or it's the amount of factories you have, like you could have 20 resource points, but if you only have a factor of tens, let's say, or 10 factories with amount up to 10 points, you only get 10 resource points in order to build forces. And that I was kind of trying to figure that out, and I did figure it out. But it's where that is different from, let's say, Third Reich, is where you had burpees, base resort points, and you conquered something. The next turn you got them, and you got a ton. Whereas I found with the Germans, I didn't seem to have a ton of resource points, and I had to slowly build forces, and I never got like big mass forces, I guess. So that's a difference. Take it for what it's worth. I uh, the combat system is a classic Columbia, but most of the stuff is C2 or D2. So meaning you've got to roll a 1 or a 2 to get a hit. There's a lot of D1 forces as well too. A lot of infantry that way, and some of the planes are like B1s. Specifically for this one's for a factory, I think is what it was. It's not going to show up very well, but anyway, so it just seemed like it was just harder to get hits in this game, and you really had to you weren't going to get a big breakthrough or anything like that, and nor are you supposed to, is the right way to say that. Whereas in Third Reich you could do that, and you could do some exploitation and whatever. There's not really that. I mean, you have these leader counters that you can add a third round of combat to, and I think you can then move other people as well with that. I'm probably not saying that correctly, but but you don't get that same sort of exploitation thing that you can get in, say, like Panzerkrieg, or Third Reich, or even Russian campaign for Second Impulses. So it's different, is what it is. Some neat things about this is that they have a neutral ally die roll, so you can, if you roll the dice and all of a sudden you could have a neighbor or somebody who might not normally have been allied with you could become your ally. I actually rolled early on and had Portugal become the Allies' ally, and they ended up going that way into Spain, and I was actually about ready to start hitting the Germans into France. I was just about to start year 1943 from starting 49. So that's kind of neat. It adds a difference to the game. The sea battle stuff, did a bit of it, but not a ton. I threw some submarines out for the Germans to stop the Allies from doing some invasions and that sort of thing. So I get that, but it wasn't really. I don't know. I don't think maybe I wasn't really maximizing the use. There's a lot going on in the game. There's so many things that you can figure out, but you're also limited because, based on the card you draw. Like there's a 3 on the top left of this card, and that's how many battles you can initiate, or strategic movements that you can do, and you're also doing it for all the Germans and the Italians, and the same token the Allies have to share those points. So you're not getting like massive, big fights, I guess. So there is that. I mean, I guess other things, there was, you really had to watch the terrain movement, because when you crossed over certain hex sites, like, a lot with Columbia Games, they have different things for, how many blocks can go across woods or mountains or rivers, so that you really had to plan out how you were going to get enough forces into to do an attack. And sometimes I would make some gains on the Eastern Front, and then, not really be able to reinforce it, and then the Russians could counterattack, and the Russians they can just take a lot of losses, right? So that's kind of realistic. It's you kind of get that sense of things. Yeah, I don't feel like I really got all a massive amount of forces on the board at any one time to really do a big push. And now what was going to happen here is the Allies were going to start doing it. Well, they didn't even have to do an invasion. I can just keep reinforcing into Spain. So that was going to happen there. I mean, I almost got through into Egypt with some Italians and one sort of German, a D3, which is going to be pretty good for the Italians. But it didn't really happen. And you can. You got to use your resource points not just to build new units, but to replace your damaged units as well. And I kind of always felt I was lacking with the Germans. Again, maybe the strategy, I should have found some places where I could take more points early on. And maybe that's how I would try it again the next time I do it. I did get the Russians to come and take Turkey, and then I had the Germans counter them. So that was interesting. But anyways, I definitely. I like the game. I will play it again when I want to do a strategic type thing, and I think I'll probably read a bit more. I didn't find a ton about this game, but I think I'll probably read a bit more. There's a couple of videos out there. It'd probably be way better if you're playing it with, I think you can play a couple of people. Actually, I should just double check that. Obviously, definitely you can play 2 people, but 2 or 3 players, right? Because 1 player can be the Russians, I think is what it is, right? So, yeah, I mean, this would probably be a lot more fun like that, other than just trying to do a grand strategy yourself. And maybe I even found that when I was playing Third Reich. I don't know. They're just that one I never. The last time I played it again, I had it set up for like 6 weeks, and I just had to get stuff off the table. And that's kind of what's happened here. I think I've had it set up for maybe a month, and playing at it, chipping away at it, doing some turns, learning some rules. There's a lot more rules in this one. This is like a bigger one, more like Rommel in the Desert. Not the best layout, too. I know they did a revision, but they've done better at other rules. That's for sure. Um, Anyways, I think it's a good option for Grand Strategic. I think what I would probably should do is buy. Let me get the name right. Alexander from Players Aid he always raves about unconditional surrender. I think GMTs, and I think way back he said something about it gets that. I think he said it gets that third rate field. Maybe I could be wrong because I don't remember if he actually played third rate, but when he described it, it sounded like probably the game that I would want to get to sort of get that feel of that grandiose World War II type of game. Anyways, I don't really have much more to say. Just thought I'd get this out there because, I'm going to move on to something else. I don't know yet. Probably something smaller. I might even do some tactical stuff. I'm not sure. Christmas is coming, so I might just want to get a little game in before then. See what I get for Christmas. But okay, that's about it. Please subscribe, and why don't you give me a comment about that? If you played this, tell me some ways that you play it. To tell me I'm wrong. Tell me what you think about this game. I'm curious because it's definitely a keeper. I'm not getting rid of it. I just it's got to be that a certain mood, and I definitely think I gotta have somebody else with me playing this game because just look at all the pieces. It's massive, right? So, anyways, okay. Take care, everybody.